listening to J.TALKS to the People Radio. Let's turn it up a notch. Woo! Can't wait for the show to begin.
It's more so about you feeling good about yourself, and then you're going to attract certain people. The problem is that this is the thing. Instead of like, if a guy sees a girl, he's like, I want that girl, and if I don't get that girl, then it sucks. You understand? It's not necessarily about that girl. It's about you being the type of man who can get women in general, women period. Because sometimes you might not get that girl because that girl is not going to be into you for whatever reason it is. You feel what I'm saying? So by focusing too much on that one particular girl, then you're really like messing things up for yourself. You understand? And then that's gonna make you feel like, oh well, I'm a loser, I suck, nobody likes me, because you're putting all your eggs in that one basket. You're looking at her as a representation of women. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of understanding that, she's just this one girl who, isn't feeling you, and that's cool, that's okay. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I realized, as I said in prior episodes, we haven't agreed to disagree MO. And that's the we, quote unquote, that carries the dialogue under the umbrella of belief moreover than truth. Would you agree? I like everyone to remember what this forum is all about. It's for you to speak your mind, perhaps share your experience, what you've learned, think of the purpose. What is the reason for speaking your mind? Hopefully, aiming to speak the truth. And what is it that we find in truth? What's one of the things found? One thing that is found is reality, the state of being. You don't have to believe this because it's true, because it will still be true either way. I realize there is division. There's this side for this position, this side for the other, that view or another. Why is it like this? How did it get this way? This is something to be talked about on the show. This is something to be talked about on the show, as we have touched on it just a little. How do we coexist, meaning unity in divided truths? In people's own truths, quote unquote, let's talk about it. 773-897-6235.
All right, folks, this is the host Jay of J Talks to the People show. Welcome, my people, to J Talks to the People broadcast. This is the first expanded edition of this show. This show originally started broadcasting and airing on www.blogtalkradio.com. It started there. There's actually two accounts where you'll find J Talks to the People. So if you go to www.blogtalkradio.com/J Talks to the People, there'll be most of the episodes by searching by that link, and the new account is not as established. I believe there's only one episode there, and you'll find that episode with the last guest I've had on, Miss Eden, has a YouTube channel called Eden Studios. She goes into storytelling, what they call creepypastas, etc. Material like that. I interviewed her as a guest on the new account, which can be found by going to www.blogtalkradio.com/J Talks to the World. That's J Talks numeral 2 the world. And two accounts had to be created. The first account is no longer in use. Requirements and conditions on that former account are not compatible with my program, so I established a new account, and I've also taken into action of now establishing an on-air broadcast for YouTube. And in the beginning, there was some delay in getting the program or this broadcast started because I was trying to operate the screen share feature and show some images while the background sound music was playing, but it's can't get it to function, so I'll have to work on that. That's going to be a new feature to this program, to this show, so I want to get it starting off. So I'm confident and have faith that we'll get this going. This is the next episode in the Think About It series. The Think About It series, you'll find the previous episodes, of course, on the Blog Talk Radio website, again, by searching J Talk to the People. J Talks to the People radio or radio program. You'll find it there. You'll also find the show on Stitcher, on Google Play, on iTunes, of course. I haven't checked the ratings of popularity and listens for that in a while, but I'll get to that soon. Life has just been hectic and X, Y, and Z, so the show and the episodes have not been consistent as they once were. I am intending to bring on future guests. That is in the works. And there were some episodes and episodes back that I featured some audio clips of a person by the name of M. Mitchell, the anti-sheeple people pleaser, or the anti-sheeple pleaser. I will try to arrange to have her on this show and see if I can arrange a show between her and another guest by the name of Pharaoh. There is a YouTube channel with Pharaoh called, I believe, Pharaoh Said That or Said This. I have to check and see how it's exactly phrased. I might even try to get some debates going on for current events and controversial matters. So normally the show does not broadcast at this hour, but again, life is just heavy hitting right now. So I'm trying to juggle everything in between. Yep, so as I mentioned, finding this show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podomatic, TuneIn, on SoundCloud. You can also find a Facebook group for this show. Going to Facebook, searching J.TALKS to the people, and that'll be a Facebook group. Updates and information there periodically. Become a member, join today. J.TALKS to the people. And of course, last but not least, going to YouTube. Going to YouTube, searching for J.TALKS to the people, you'll find that channel there, where hopefully more and more broadcasts, live events will be made and uploaded to the site. So this is a continuation of the Think About It series, part 7. Last episode of the Think About It series, I had on Mrs. J Talks to the People. We refer to her as Mrs. J Talks to the People. And just in a moment, I will open up my radio show. I will have Blog Talk broadcasting live at the same time of having this broadcast going on YouTube. I will get to that shortly. That will start in about another 8 minutes. Going to www.blogtalkradio.com/JTalks to the world. Let me try and see if I get this screen share going. I don't know, it may not work tonight. Well, it looks like no dice tonight. All the other items are working, functioning, I guess, normally on this YouTube live event, but all the other items, they're functioning, with screen share is not working. Yeah, we'll try to get it going. We will try to get that going. So another 5 minutes until the radio program will take off. Meanwhile, again, thank all of you for sticking around, coming by, and listening in and checking out the program. Again, you, the people, will make the show what it is by calling in, by emailing, commenting, all of the above will make the show what it is. Stay tuned.
What's going on, people? Jay, the host here. Sometimes I get questions from potential and prospective guests asking, what's your show about? Where do you see your show going? What is it that you really want the folks to know? I say, ask the folks. Hey, they are the ones that make the show what it is. When they call in, they have interesting ideas, views, and thoughts. That's what it's all about. See, I may be hosting the show or hosting alongside a co-host, but the people make the show. And in turn, learn, grow, breed, produce fruit, thrive from one another. I like it. I like it a lot. So join us at 773-897-6235 and spread your gift of free speech. J.TALKS to the People can be found on iTunes, Google, and Facebook. So people, be easy.
Did you get a chance to read that thing I gave you earlier?
I actually haven't. This has been so busy with this thing planning.
Oh. Yeah, I just feel like if you cared about me, you probably would have read it already. You know, just because like you felt like you had to, you know.
I actually did enjoy myself.
You read it. So
It wasn't for me.
I mean, it's probably for you, it's for everyone, it's not.
This is why I didn't want to talk about it. It's gonna get weird. You're getting weird.
I'm not getting weird. I'm 100% not getting weird. I honestly, I did it because I wanted your notes. I want to know what you actually thought, so please give me notes.
Okay, for starters, it was very well written.
I guess that's the stuff that I don't need to do. I just need to read it.
I just didn't feel like anything happened. Nothing was happening.
Okay, well, you know, girl's whole perspective on who she was and her sexuality changed, but that feels like nothing. I get it.
Ultimately, it felt like just waiting in line and all the nonsense that goes to you throw when you're trying to kill someone. I mean, okay, well, there wasn't really anything going on.
I hear that.
But it was really well written, and I don't want you to take that the wrong way because it was really well written.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, I'm actually so happy that you didn't like it. If you just loved it, like everyone else does, that would be so simple. But this actually opens up a dialogue about my work. Same kind of dialogue we've had about your political beliefs.
There's no dialogue, but I know what I believe. I'm steadfast in it. I'm fine with it.
So you mean like, even though you spend all this time with me and like you're raising and you feeling that you should be allowed to pick a beautiful wedding like all the ones we saw earlier and say yes to the dress?
Yeah, this is because I didn't like your essay.
It's not because you didn't like my essay, it's because we're having this open conversation about things we believe in, and I'm also a little horrified by the fact that people should just be allowed to own guns.
It's way more complicated than that.
Is it though? More complicated than that?
Yeah, it is.
I also would love to know how you feel about the fact that 2 out of 3 people in death row are black.
Wow, Hannah. I didn't know that. Thank you for enlightening me about how things are tougher for minorities. Thank you.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
I am.
Okay, well, it's hard for me to say because I really like you, but I think our political beliefs are just too different and we should just be friends.
Anyways, this always happens. This always happens.
What always happens?
This whole like, oh, I'm a white girl. I moved to New York and I'm having a great time. And like, oh, I got a fixed gear bike. I'm gonna date a black guy, and we're gonna go to a dangerous part of town. All that bullshit. Like, yeah, I know this. I've seen it happen a million times, and then they can't deal with who I am.
You know what? Honestly, maybe you should think about the fact that you could be fetishizing me, because how many white men have you dated? Sounds like a lot from what you just said. And maybe you think of us as just one big white blobby mass with like stupid ideas that you can't do. Why don't you lay this thing down, flip it, and reverse it? Because I don't think it's very nice.
You just said Miss Yellow.
I don't know who that is.
Bullshit, okay? It doesn't
He jokes on you because you want to know what? I never thought about the fact that you were black once.
That's insane, okay? You should.
I didn't even know that until you said it just now.
No,
I don't live in a world where there are divisions like that.
You do, okay? That's just the thing. You're the one who brought up the 2 out of 3 black.
I didn't say 2 out of 3 guys like you. I said 2 out of 3 black guys. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was sitting next to a black guy.
Get out of here. You gotta go. You gotta leave right now.
I do not feel good about this conversation.
Neither do I.
Do you want to have sex still?
No.
I didn't feel like it either. I just didn't want you to have blue balls because that's another thing I don't believe in.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. He's looking at you, kid.
All right, folks, welcome to J Talks to the People Radio. I am the host, Jay, and I am so beside myself that another episode has been born on J Talks to the People Radio. I am also streaming live on YouTube. Welcome to the first expanded form of J Talks to the People Radio. Find J Talks to the People, of course, on www.blogtalkradio.com/J Talks to the World. As well as finding J Talks to the People on YouTube. J Talks to the People is an interaction-based platform for you people to speak up, speak out, from current events to personal views to controversial matters. Email the show on information on questions, remarks, comments, topics, requests for debates, news, all that. Send it to jtalkstothepeople@yahoo.com. You can share this information on the Facebook group. That is Facebook. And you'll find J Talks to the People Facebook group. Become a member today in J Talks to the People Facebook group. So this and also the other episodes of J Talks to the People can be found as going to J Talks to the People www.blogtalkradio.com/jtalks to the people. You will find the former episodes there. And if you would like to call in, you have that option to do so, dialing 319, or excuse me, dialing 516 516-666-8290. Once again, that's 516-666-8290. So we have back on the Think About It series. Think About It Part 7. The question is, what if you know, or knowing that your last day is tomorrow? Your last day to live is tomorrow. What would you do? How would you spend your last 24 hours? Has that ever even crossed your mind? Are you just thinking about the new movie that's coming out, the new song, the new clothing line or fashion? Are you giving anything else any thought? Friday night, you just got paid. Time to go out on the town, dibble and dabble, strut your stuff and party, celebrate. Tomorrow takes care of itself. And when tomorrow comes tomorrow, let me know how it turns out. So just a small bracket of things to think about to stimulate your mind. And once again, I was hoping to get this screen share function rolling. If you are having access to YouTube, you can see images and different things, materials that we can broadcast during the show. On the radio program on Blog Talk, we just have the slideshow, so you only see images that are uploaded and that are displayed. And we can have so much more capability, so much more enhancement of show material and content to be displayed while we're having on different guests or people that want to speak up and speak out. So in a moment, we're going to start with some clips to get your brain jumping. So, thinking about it, before you make an action, before you say anything, it's trusted that you ruminated, that you had some thought, that you had some type of reasoning going on. So these thoughts that have accumulated in your brain, we could say consists of what? Of facts, things that we know due to experience, due to what we've been taught. And all these things sum up to us figuring out and rationalizing the world and experience and existence around us. And for the past few years, that's what I've been developing in my mind, talking about logic, things that make sense, versus things that don't make sense, things that are inconsistent, things that are irrational, things that wouldn't work under this natural realm. And I've noticed year after year, as I hopefully expect, that I've accumulated growth in my knowledge, in my experience, as well as hopefully all of you all. Growth and development in my thinking, in my mindsets, in my perception of things, learning how to apply logic, going from youth years to the future. Or how my perception has changed on many things in life. Things that I used to think about, certain things I didn't think about the same way before. And I don't know if all of you agree, but I have seen that it's been proven that it's good to look at things in a different light, in different perspectives. You know, once you see things in a different perspective, they really enhance and accumulate your understanding of a lot of different things that you didn't understand quite as well. But looking at them in different perspectives makes the comprehension more facilitated. From my vantage point, the direction of left is west. From your vantage point, that would be east to you. I see something as half full, you see it as half empty. Different perspectives. And along with that, you learn about your mindsets, your perception, and how you react to things, your sentiment, and your emotions. And believe it or not, emotions, if you allow it to consume you, will what? Will trump logic, will trump rationale. You notice that you don't seem as smart or make the best decisions when emotion totally consumes you, consumes your mind. Should you not allow emotions to consume you unless it's in an ultimate end of total constructive substance and prosperity. Outside of that, would it be safe to say to allow logic to take over? I've talked with Mr. Baxter. I had him on the show a couple episodes ago. We were talking about fundamentals. Is it true from the beginning there were fundamentals? Things that we learned through trial and error? Things we've learned to be realities, facts. Again, logic, principles. So if there are universal fundamentals an order to existence, or there's a certain order to existence, how and where did our opinions come into play? Where did they formulate? And the next question is, because this is the Think About It series, should we embrace more facts to incorporate in our everyday lives the wealth of truth for a better optimal living in lieu of just what I think and feel? Think about it. Questions and comments, send them over to the email, J.TALKS to the people at. Send them at Yahoo. You want to voice your opinion. That'll be 516-666-8290. So, let's get into this clip. I believe this is another one by Jesse Lee Peterson, and we'll let him do all the talking.
So I was up in Sacramento to testify against a bill, SB 10, which would allow criminals, Hispanic communities, to get out of jail without having to post a bail. And these Democrats are claiming to be pushing this bill because they say white people can afford to pay to get their folks out of jail. That's not fair. Isn't that amazing? And so I want you to know that if this bill passes, it means that if someone in your community, whether it's a drug dealer, a rapist, robbery, or whatever it might be, and they go to jail, they can get out and wait for a trial without having to post a bail. And this is going to put everybody's lives at risk. You're not going to have any witnesses go forward and testify because they're going to be afraid to. Knowing that the criminals will be getting out of jail. They want to let these people out on their own and really put the bail bonds out of business. But they want to do it because they say that there's too much policing and it's racism and it's not fair to the blacks that they have to put their homes up for as as bail for to make sure that the criminals show up for their trial or hearing, while the white people can afford, the rich white people, they say, can afford to pay money. Isn't that crazy? So they're just dumping on the black folks and the Hispanics, and they don't have sense enough to care about it because they think this is love because the people use the word racist, the Democrats do. It's mind-blowing. Isn't that amazing? And they say they're doing it because they love black people and Hispanics. They're doing it because they want the votes. This is what this is all about, putting blacks and Hispanic lives and innocents' lives at risk just to get the vote. That's what this is all about.
And the bottom line, I think, is this. We're talking about justice. We're talking about the need to constantly be vigilant, to continue to reinvent and to create the newest tools available to make sure that people who are dealt with in the justice system are dealt with fairly, honorably, are not treated because in a different manner because of the color of their skin or the size of their wallet. This is America. This is what this place is about. Did the bail system work some years ago? I don't know. Bail schedules were a lot less. It cost a few $100s to bail out. There's a number of reasons why they've changed. The question before us, before this committee, before this legislature, is do we have a better path forward in how we treat our people? Do we administer justice? And the bottom line is, with the best minds available, does it upset the apple cart to some extent as to how business has been done? Of course it does. There's all sorts of examples throughout society where changes occur, and this is something for the better, something which is the highest purpose of any purpose, which is justice, making sure that the creed of this country and what we stand for goes to the greatest lengths to protect folks at every income level, under every circumstance.
While living behind a gated fence or wall, gated wall with security, he is sponsoring a bill that will let criminals, suspects, out of jail without having to post a bail. And they want to let criminals out of jail without having to post a bail. Isn't that amazing? And they say that the reason they want to do it is because it's unfair. And the whites get out while blacks and Hispanic single mothers and grandmothers go hungry. And they claim that these people are going hungry to get their young people out because they are over policed. How can you be over policed?
I'm just expressing my deep concerns because at the end of the day, with all due respect to the gentleman who spoke, in my community where I live among black and brown people, at my house, in my neighbors, there's some very real and immediate concerns because the way the bail system works, if you're over-policed in a community like mine and you're picked up and a officer charges you with a crime and you're a good working individual trying to get to work and you come up with thousands of dollars to get out, even for a crime you're never charged with, you lose, as we always say, your grandmother's bank account, basically. And that never gets returned. There is something emphatically wrong with the way that bail works in communities like mine that are over-policed, and the assumption that the people who are picked up on charges, and I know I'm speaking to the choir, but, you know, are guilty of those is, you know, often, sometimes they're guilty of lesser charges, sometimes they're not guilty of anything, sometimes they're never charged, and that's a real problem.
Isn't that amazing? So they're claiming that in the black community that the mothers cannot afford to get their sons and daughters out of jail, so they have to post bail, while the rich can afford to just pay to get their folks out. They had one Hispanic woman go up and testify in favor of it, and she said she had committed some kind of crime, went to jail, and it was hard on her family. Her grandmother had to put up her home to bail her out, and it was just so hard, and it was hard for her because she had to see her grandparents suffer. I'm like, is this woman crazy? You do the crime, you do the time. Commit the crime, do the time. No one's feeling sorry for you, stupid woman.
My name is Melody, and I'm here from San Diego to speak about my personal experience with the money bail system and how it impacted my life for several years. About 11 years ago, I did something really stupid, and I ended up being arrested. And this was my first and only offense. At the time, I was a full-time student. I worked for the county of San Diego. I lived with my grandparents who had been raising me. People can only imagine what it's like to sit in jail, but for me, the reality of this was much more terrifying than I could ever have imagined. I would call home every hour begging for someone to do something. So being a mother myself now, I can understand what my grandparents felt. Understandably, they would have done whatever they could in their power to get me back home. My grandparents at the time were on a fixed income, living paycheck to paycheck. So for our family, there were no savings. When we heard that the only way for me to get out was a $50,000 bail, we all shared the same reaction. We were all sick to our stomachs because we knew there was no way that we could come up with that kind of money. So we worked with the bail bonds companies immediately. The down payment, of course, was more than what my grandparents could afford. So they had to use credit and also borrow from friends to do so. And then a month wasn't even close to their budget. At the end of my court sentencing, I was sentenced to community service hours and 3 years probation. After completing this debt, I thought, I was finally free of the nightmare I had caused. Little did I know that the bail bondsman debt would continue for years. My grandparents and I struggled to make these huge payments each month, so other bills of ours started going delinquent. There was times I would see my grandparents leave to the grocery store with a calculator, and I would overhear them saying, well, we'll just get what we can, and then, well, that's it. So understandably, my heart broke watching my grandma write these huge checks to the bail bonds companies every time she did. During this time, very often I would feel like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Even the phone ringing at our house became a stressful event because 9 out of 10 times it was the bail bonds calling to collect payment that we just didn't have. Years to regain my freedom from this, I now own my own business. And even at 32 years old, I still see some of the negative hits on my credit from this time in my life. But the thought of what could have happened had I not been able to bail out still scares me because I've seen so many other women like myself custody, and I know the only difference between my luck and theirs was that my family was able to come up with some money. What I went through was very devastating, but I honestly feel that the worst punishment ended up being the bail debt.
How about not having children out of wedlock? How about not committing the crimes? How about those things? It was one of the dumbest things I ever heard. And some black woman, same kind of thing. And then they had a truckload of people to come up to the mic just to say their name, the organization they're from or with, and they support the bill, right? That's going to let the criminals out without bail. And if you are a victim of the crime, they were calling the criminals victims. Isn't that amazing? And so if you are victimized, you're not going to go and testify because the criminals walking around in the neighborhood. They had a bunch of union members, just blacks and Hispanics and others, just looked like garbage people. They were just dirty people. And they had drag queens, men that was acting like women, lesbians that was dressed like men, Black Lives Matter. They just had a truckload of people, busload of people going up and testifying in support of this thing. Just the scum of the earth. They look like, and I used to work for the union, so I know how they operate. They just get these people who are union members and tell them anything, busload them to these hearings, and they go in support of their own neighborhood, the destruction of their own neighborhoods, not even realizing what they're supporting. I'm sitting there watching these people go up and say they're in support of a bill that's going to allow the criminals to just go free until they go to court. How many people show up to court, especially if you don't have a bail and you're not worried about mama losing her house? You're not going to show up to court. And so I asked 2 of the black women that went up and said, my name is whatever, and I'm with the union and I support the bill. So I asked them, did you know that this bill is going to allow the criminals out of jail until they're hearing? So they're going to go back into your community and rape you some more? And they said, no, that's not true. That's not what the bill is about. They didn't even know what the bill was about. They did not know what the bill was about. And I understand that because the union don't tell them the truth about it, and they don't have sense enough to examine it for themselves. And so the union said, hey, here's a free ride up to Sacramento at the Capitol. You're going to testify in front of the Senate or some stupid committee. They're like happy. They just go and do it. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. When that 32-year-old woman said she did something stupid, and now her grandparents can't buy groceries, I'm like, they don't deserve to eat. if they're going to put their house up for your stupid self. This is so crazy. There were men dressed like, there were women dressed like men fighting there in favor of SB 10. I want black people to know, if you want to know which way to go with these bills and things like that, and you don't feel like reading, I understand black people don't like to read, and so I do understand. Just look at the people who are in support of it.
All right, folks, there you have it. Some content about a bill and the situation going on with bailing people out. And by the way, the radio show will be ending in another 15 to 20 minutes. I do thank all of you for taking time out whenever time possible in your day to listen to the program, J.TALKS on Blog Talk. So stay tuned. Be right back, all right? Good deal. Good deal.
That's what it is. And you need to know how it works today, because the bank is going to work it for them. It's their job. They have people on it 24 hours a day.
How it bothers him that black people, which he is black, say that they are proud and black. And he had identified it perfectly as far as, what are you proud of about being black? You were born black. It was an achievement. Being proud means being proud of an achievement. You've earned this, or done that, or were recognized for this or that. You raised great kids. But as far as being proud to be black, you had nothing to do with it.
Well, ultimately, we're supposed to be universal people who can function with maximum efficiency anywhere in the universe that we happen to be at any given time. Even if you blindfold us and drop us off in some place we've never been and never heard of. The way we should be trying to go is that when the blindfold is taken off, we can look around and say, oh, I think that I can operate here. Why? Because I am here. And I think I can operate with maximum efficiency. I've never been to this place. I don't know what it looks like until now. I don't know what is what and who's doing what here. I may be the only person here. But there are trees and there are rocks and there are waterfalls and whatnot. I'm a universal man. Or I'm a universal woman. I can function anywhere in the maximum constructive efficiency. Now that's the level we should be thinking at. In anything that you come up, if you mention sports, oh, I can do that. I can climb a mountain. If you mention going under the sea, oh, the ocean, oh yes, I know something about that. I can go to the bottom of the ocean and come back up, still breathing. Name something else. Well, do you know how to build a house? Oh, a piece of cake. See, that's universal man, universal woman. These are the aims that we should be striving for. We should be trying to be people who have never really appeared on the planet. That's where our aim should be. And we shouldn't settle for anything less. Universal man and universal woman.
Trying to find love, holding on in love. Trying to find love, keep on holding.
This is Mrs. J. Talk to the People. The host Jay had asked me to tell you all something, and that is to give thanks to all those who have took time to stop by and listen to J. Talk to the People radio program. The program is an interaction-based platform for you guys and people to speak up and speak out, from current events to personal views to controversial matters. Be part of this show, this new season, this new day.
Listening to J.TALKS. Let's turn it up a notch. Woo! Can't wait for the show to begin.
All right, folks, Jay Talks to the People radio show. I am the host, Jay, and we will get back into the clip in just a few moments. Get myself collected here. All right. So, Jay Talks to the People radio audience back with me as well. Thank you for listening to straight from live from Blog Talk Radio as well as YouTube. This is the first expanded edition of J Talks to the People radio broadcast. Yes, indeed. You will find the previous episodes on www.blogtalkradio.com/jtalks2thepeople. And the latest episodes will be found on www.blogtalkradio.com/jtalks2theworld. Phone number, if you want to call through phone, is 516-666-8290. And of course, you press number 1, or I may just bring you on anyhow. It doesn't really matter. And also, Jake Talks to the People at yahoo.com if you want to remain anonymous and disclose or have your voice concealed. All right, just an announcement. The radio show will stop broadcast in another 5-6 minutes. And we will continue on the live YouTube broadcast. So certainly thank all of you for following and paying attention to what's ahead in the show. Let's help keep this happening. Let's keep making it happen. Again, I was playing the clip of Jesse Lee Peterson, radio talk show host himself, discussing about the bill and the law of passing for people that are suspected of committing a crime to lowering the bail or to purge the bail altogether and not hold the presumed or the accused until trial. So let's get back to that and finish that up. Let's finish this. Let's finish it.
If the radical homosexuals are in support of it, if the unions are in support of it, if the Democrats are in support of it, if the better known as, that's a new name, what do they call them? Transgenders. If they're in support of it, just know you should not be for it. You should not be for the bill. All right? Because they're not supporting you, they're supporting themselves, using you. Black people like to read, and we're just not into reading. Put it on TV, we won't know about it, or rap about it. If they don't play it, put it in music or TV. We'll just go with what they tell us without trying to figure it out. I understand. But black folks, if this bill passed, you are in some serious trouble. So when it was my time to speak, I said that this guy, Hirschberg, what's his name, James? I said, in the sponsor of this bill, people, I said it really loud, and a roar. My name is Reverend Jesse Lee Pamphlet of Bond, the Brotherhood's Organization of a New Destiny. You know, we're a national organization. I'm also a radio talk show host. I work with black men and women and children all the time for the liars. I live in a community. And to come up with SB 10 is absolutely insane. And I do want to say for Hirschberg and the sponsors of this bill hate black people. They hate black women. They hate black children because these people are not going to live.
Sir,
These communities.
Stick with the merits of the bill, please.
All right. The sponsors of these bills, of this bill, do not live in those communities. There are mothers and children who are dying for hated by criminals who are already in their community. I'm working with a woman right now. Her daughter was raped, a black single mother. Her daughter was raped. Her house has been robbed. The criminals are walking down the neighborhood, and they are afraid to report it to the police because they know that these criminals are going to come after them because they are in and out of jail already. And to get rid of the bond says that you, sir, don't respect black people. You don't live in those communities.
I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off.
I want to say
you off right now. One, because you don't have a whole lot of time. They have 4 minutes left. I want to make sure the others, could you wrap up in 15 seconds right now?
Our community are already afraid to report criminals. Criminal activity is out of control. Black women are being robbed, murdered, and raped every day. I have a sister who was raped.
Okay.
She won't report it.
Okay,
because the criminals are on the street.
Is that your final statement?
Get rid of the bail.
Okay, thank you.
Accountability.
Thank you, sir.
And we cannot.
Thank you, sir.
And I beg you that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Public Safety Committee, my name.
Don't care, sir.
My name is.
Wait. If you make another sound, I'll have you removed.
I'm fine. This is insane. But I told him that all hell broke loose. It was great. It was all nicey. And when I went up to give my testimony against the bill, all hell broke. There was one white guy sitting there, one of the judges. I thought he was going to fall off the bench. Robert Hirschberg. One thing I noticed about Democrats, they don't want it to be known that they hate black people, but they're constantly accusing white Republicans of so-called racism. I didn't even use the word racism because I know racism doesn't exist, but hatred does. And when I said that, they turned my mic off. They were yelling and screaming at me, and I was time. I was loving it. There's nothing like telling the truth to Democrats. That's nuts. I would call my representatives if I were you to say I'm against SB 10, which would allow criminals back into the communities waiting for their hearing without a bail bond. Without a bail. Isn't that amazing? And just imagine, these people are going to sell drugs, they're drug dealers, they are rapists, murderers, robbers. They're going to get out of jail right back into the community, in the black community, while these folks live behind major walls where you can't get in. They don't care about black, and black people are so dumb. Not all, but most. They have no idea. Long as the Democrat, the title Democrat is attached to it, and look like the Democrat care about them because they use words like racism and poor people and police. That's all they need to say. So Representative Hirschberg is from the Van Nuys areas, San Fernando Valley areas, a Democrat, Robert Hirschberg. So if you're not for getting rid of the bail bonds and letting these people run wild until they go to court, they can commit a crime. Think about that. They can commit a crime, but they don't. They go to jail, but they have to wait in committing the crimes. The blacks and Hispanics communities. Amazing. All for the votes. And one thing I noticed that the Republicans are so scared. They were the other ones who against the bill, they were just reading off the stats. And the Republicans are, and they don't win the Democrats. They just think that they can do to appease black people. What's going to happen in the black and Hispanic community? The criminals who will be roaming the streets free. They're not worried about mama lose her house, so they're going to go nuts. Because the average criminal, at least that's in Hispanic, they love mama, so they might show up for court because they don't want mama to lose her house. But now that they know mama is not going to lose her house, they're not going to care. They're not going to show up for a trial. And then the witnesses are not going to testify because the criminal right on the same block in some cases. This is so insane. And so many people, union workers and others, were there to say they supported this bill. While the whites the Democratic whites and blacks who wrote up this bill, who sponsored this bill, they're living behind gated communities. They have guns, they have security guards. You can't even get in those communities. I don't know. And I wish you could have seen some of the folks who were for it. Just dirty people. Look like they're just in the world and don't even know it. They're here. And whatever the world tells them, okay. As long as you say racism, you mention racist, and you mention the police, we are okay with it. Isn't that amazing? How did the world get so bad? Talk about the fallen state. They have fallen beyond the fallen state. They had men dressed like women who were testifying for the bill, and women dressed like men who were testifying that you know something is wrong. If you got those kind of people for it, go the other. Blacks and Hispanics for the bill. And then you had the folks who were against the bill, dressed nice, good looking folks, clean, decent people. Look like the light of the world. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. It was more than a notion. Dwayne Dog Chapman, the dog, and his wife Beth are really pushing against this bill. So they asked me, they told me about it, really introduced it to me, and asked me would I testify, however I felt about it. I'm like, yeah, I go. We got to fight for our country. So let's go to the Bible. Go to the guy out of Los Angeles.
All right, folks, there you have it. That's all. What do you think about it? Let me know. Let me know. Send your comments and questions. Be right back with you.
Racism doesn't exist and never existed. Let's take a look.
Our issue is not about racism. There is no such thing as racism.
Higher entity. Now he's not going to go over it because he's working for most of them. See, the thing about it is, when you get into a certain position of authority, you get to meet these people.
You're listening to J Talks to the People Radio.
It's more so about you feeling good about yourself, and then you're going to attract certain people. The problem is that this is the thing. Instead of like, if a guy sees a girl, he's like, I want that girl, and if I don't get that girl, then it sucks. You understand? It's not necessarily about that girl. It's about you being the type of man who can get women in general, women period. Because sometimes you might not get that girl because that girl is not going to be into you for whatever reason it is. You feel what I'm saying? So by focusing too much on that one particular girl, then you're really like messing things up for yourself. You understand? And then that's gonna make you feel like, oh well, I'm a loser, I suck, nobody likes me, because you're putting all your eggs in that one basket. You're looking at her as a representation of women. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of understanding that, she's just this one girl who, isn't fitting you, and that's cool, that's okay. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is.
I realize, as I've said in prior episodes, we haven't agreed to disagree MO. And that's the we, quote unquote, that carries the dialogue under the umbrella of belief moreover than truth. Would you agree? I like everyone to remember what this forum is all about. It's for you to speak your mind, perhaps share your experience, what you've learned, think of the purpose. What is the reason for speaking your mind? Hopefully aiming to speak the truth. And what is it that we find in truth? What's one of the things found? One thing that is found is reality, the state of being. You don't have to believe this because it's true, because it will still be true either way. I realize there is division. There's this side for this position, this side for the other, that view or another. Why is it like this? How did it get this way? This is something to be talked about on the show, This is something to be talked about on the show, as we have touched on it just a little. How do we coexist, meaning unity in divided truths? In people's own truths, quote unquote, let's talk about it. 773-897-6235.
Sometimes you're better off dead, cause you're coming your hands, pointing at your head, just think your mind, to understand it, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in restaurants in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman around, running down on the ground, dive bar, West End town. West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. Too many shadows, whispering voices, placed on posters, too many choices. If, when, why, what, how much have you got? Have you got it together? So how often would you choose a hard or soft option? The Western town, dead and wild, the Eastern boys and Western girls. The Western town, dead and wild, the Eastern boys and Western girls. Western town, dead and wild, the Eastern boys and Western girls. Western town, dead and wild, Eastern boys, Western girls. You got a hard glass or a hard stone, just you wait till I get you home. No future, got no past, here today. Built to last in every city and every nation, from Lake Geneva to the gas station. Western town, dead and wild, the Eastern boys and Western girls. Western town, dead and wild, Eastern boys, Western girls.
Welcome back to J.TALKS to the People broadcast. I am the host Jay, hosting this live YouTube event, the episode of Think About It, Part 7. So as mentioned previously on a episode with my frequent guest, Miss Rain, which is still in the works, hopefully in the future to have her back on the show. Her first episode with J Talks to the People was Money Management with Miss Rain. You can find that on iTunes, definitely on Blog Talk Radio. Searching J Talks to the People, that's first few episodes of the show. We were talking about making mistakes in life. And many of you might see it as when you make mistakes, let it be that the good is outweighing the bad. Suffering, allowing, and tolerating minimal damage. Yes, indeed. And the next question is, do you believe everything works for the greater good in some way or another? Why or why not? Do you believe, do you accept everything works for the greater good in some way or another? Do you also believe in things that are meant to happen, or is there evidence to disprove what we call fate altogether? Just some questions there to think on. I have this next segment from a previous episode of Thinking About It, the Think About It series. There was a talk show radio host had on a caller that they were going into current events, into politics and different campaigns, administrations. This was the time that former President Obama was in office, and they discussed the different policy between Obama and George Bush. And speaking of politics, we will get into that at some point, back into current events. All of you out there, is Trump doing great things or what? Making America great again. Again, you can check out episodes on blogtalkradio.com. You'll find episodes entitled Pre-Election and Post-Election. Miss Rain and I discuss the race, presidential election, etc. Making America great again. What does that mean? What does that mean to you, making it great again? When was it great before? Huh? How about it? So let me get this clip started off between the radio talk show host and the caller. Just listening to the conversation and see on both sides. Remember, looking at different perspectives, each other's talking points, and see who has a more valid argument. Think about the words that are being used and repeat it. Let's go.
What were we doing? What were we doing at the Constitution, at the time of the Constitution? What were black people doing?
We were picking their cotton.
We were slaves.
And their tobacco.
I want to go back to that. I understand these racists.
I understand how racists want to go back to slavery. President. So they want us all to go back to slavery. I understand that. But
I don't think they do. I don't think they care. I don't think people or Democrats really give a damn about
Clinton was a Democrat.
They care about us positively or negatively. I think they're worried about themselves. I think they're worried about their own bank account.
Were they killing people when Bill Clinton was president? Were they killing people, his supporters? It's a simple question.
Were they killing Bill Clinton's supporters?
Yes.
I don't know. Bill Clinton's supporters were murdered.
Oh, shut up.
What are you saying though?
I'm saying that racists don't like the president because he's black. That's why they're killing people. And for you,
I'm not debating the fact that there are people that do not want to be president because he is black. However, I think that is so irrelevant, his race, because his record is bad enough.
What about his record is bad? Well, then he's black. Oh, okay, that's the racist.
I already told you what was bad about his record, and you told me that I was lying. So why would I repeat it? The unemployment rate.
You don't know his record, do you? You don't know his record, do you? You just know he's black.
I'm trying to tell you right now.
You talked about the gas. $5 on the bush. You talked about gas. Gas was $5 on the bush. Gas is $3.89 back. So it can't be gas.
Why not? Because in January 2009, when Bush president, it was $1.89. I'm not talking about Bush. I have not defended this one time.
Can't be gas.
Come on, bro.
Gas is coming down.
Okay, so let's move on from gas. Gas is coming down because okay, you're right. Okay, you want me to give you more?
What else? Next one. Well, that's what I was saying.
Okay, I must have been asleep for that part of his presidency when he cut the government in half because I have not seen that at all. Credit rating has been.
He cut NASA. He's not going to anymore.
Do you want me to tell you his record or not?
We don't have any more. How come we don't have more?
You don't want me to tell you the record, then don't ask me to tell you the record because I'm trying to tell you the record.
I'm lying!
3 years. I'm not lying. In 3 years, the national debt has increased by over $5 billion. It has grown by $1 billion.
No, he cut the debt in half. Now what are we supposed to do? He cut the debt in half. So what does that mean?
He didn't cut the debt in half, though.
He did. I'm not going to argue with you on that point. Your racist families don't want to tell you. Go to whitehouse.gov and click on Barack Obama's 2013 budget. It has $1.3 trillion worth of spending, spending cuts, making the total deficit reduction $8 trillion. It's already been paid. 7 point whatever. It's been paid. $7.3 trillion paid to the debt. 1.3 trillion will make it even 8 trillion, and that will cut the deficit in half. Because Bush spent $12.3 trillion. Obama spent $2 on the stimuluses. So that's just a lie about spending and deficit. That's what they told you.
What are you talking about? In 3 years, over $5 billion. That is the most for any American president.
You're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
I'm not lying.
I'm not lying. Okay, you said it. Now you can't take it back because you said it. Now let me tell you the truth.
I'm not taking it. I didn't take it back.
Okay. Now can I tell you the truth?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Now, the reason I told you to go to whitehouse.gov 2013 Obama budget is because the racists, your racist handlers, can't get to that site because it's the government website, and if they hack that site, they go to prison. So they can't get to that site. So the actual budget is there. And the budget is to you. As dumb as you are. There's 1.3.
I'm really not dumb at all. I wish you would stop because we have.
You dumb. All right. Now, $1 is spending for this 2013 budget. Do I need to repeat that? $1.3 trillion in new spending. Discretionary spending.
Right, new spending, which means that's not
distributed with he's already proposed for us to spend.
1.3 trillion.
Oh my God, this is.
Let me finish. I'm not finished. Also, in the same budget, $0.3 of deficit reduction to pay off the debt. Now, here's what your racist handlers are doing. They're taking that $1.3 trillion. Only a third of that money is borrowed. The rest comes out of the Treasury. It's not all borrowed money. And then the $1.3 trillion in deficit reduction to pay off Bush's debt, that 1.3, they're adding it in to the 1.3 in spending and saying, oh, he spent $5 trillion. No, he didn't. He spent equal parts spending cuts with every dime that he spent. So it was a wash. So the president has done that with all 4 budgets since he's been in office. All 4 budgets, every single one, was 100% spending cuts to every dime that he spent. That's how he's governed, responsibly. Bush didn't do that. Bush spent $12.3 trillion, didn't spend one dime on the debt. Dick Cheney got on TV and said, deficits don't matter. We'll just pass it off to the black guy who comes up next, who's president next time. So your argument that Barack Obama is spending out of control and spent $5 trillion is a lie. Not a lie, because he did spend $5 trillion, but no, he offset it with equal cuts. He did. And I'll be honest.
No, he didn't.
One more thing, one more lie that your racist handlers are lying to you. The TARP bailout, while Bush consulted President Obama, and President Obama agreed to it, Bush signed that because it was in his last month in office. So the bank bailout to Bush's rich white Wall Street buddies, Bush did that. That was $2.7 trillion. Yeah. So the total that Bush spent was $12.3 trillion. The total that President Obama spent was $2 trillion, almost 2 stimuluses. Now, you talk about limited government. How the hell can you talk about limited government when Bush spent 12.3 and Obama spent 2, but he returned?
Okay. Once again, I am not a champion of Bush.
It doesn't matter. He's all you got. Bush was the last Republican.
Not all I have. What are you talking about?
President, dummy. You can't do that. You can't say, well, I don't support Bush. I just support getting rid of the black guy because he's black. No, that don't work.
I don't support getting rid of him because he's black.
You messed up.
And the fact that our nation was even to a point where we could elect a black president. What I have a problem with is that he has an embarrassment to black people. That is my problem with Barack Obama. Oh, yes.
He doesn't listen to you because he got Bin Laden. You embarrassed that Obama got Bin Laden. You were embarrassed that Obama grew the economy 25%.
Black president didn't have more black people on food stamps than ever in the nation. One thing I'll say.
Grams, he gave 50 million people affordable health care, and that embarrasses your dumb black ass? Are you crazy?
Yes, because I don't believe in any of it. I don't believe that I can't pay for anybody else's health care other than my own.
Well, the health care mandate you to pay for it yourself. You don't believe in paying for your own health care?
Not if I don't want it. What if I don't want health care?
It doesn't matter. If you get by a bus, they're going to drag your dumb ass into the emergency room, and we're going to have to pay for it. When you want to have the white boy's baby, we're going to have to pay for it. You selfish
I don't even know what you're talking about. When am I ever going to have a child with a white man?
Sick? Are you crazy? You don't think you're going to die? Dumb as you are?
Oh, I said, so you told me when I have a baby with a white man, and I'm just trying to figure out when we...
So when you have the baby with the gay dude, you and Tick will happen.
Well, that wouldn't even make sense, because if he's gay, I doubt that I would be having sex with him. I mean, if you should not as him, because...
Living on us.
He has nothing... Anything has absolutely nothing to do with anything. So you insulting me is fine, but I'm not going to allow you to insult him. One, and two,
do you have any more arguments?
You would like him. You would like him. He's not a Republican. He's a Democrat.
Doesn't matter. He spanked you. He beat you. He governed. Bush didn't. You lost.
What?
All right, folks. Some more information there for you to ruminate on, think about. Be back shortly.
You know, it's more so about you feeling good about yourself, and then you're going to attract certain people. The problem is that this is the thing. Instead of like, if a guy sees a girl, he's like, I want that girl, and if I don't get that girl, then you understand it's not necessarily about that girl. It's about you being the type of man who can get women in general, women period, because sometimes you might not get that girl because that girl is not going to be into you for whatever reason it is. You feel what I'm saying? So by focusing too much on that one particular girl, then you're really like messing things up for yourself. You understand? And then that's going to make you feel like, oh, well, you know, I'm a loser, I suck, nobody likes me, because you're putting all your eggs in that one basket. You're looking at her as a representation of women. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of understanding that, you know, girl isn't killing you, and that's cool, that's okay. You understand what I'm saying? It is what it is.
You're listening to J.TALKS to the People Radio. So join us at 773-897-6235.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me the platform to be able to speak to the people.
Hey, yeah, all right. Huh. J Talks to the People. I am the host, Jay. Thank you for stopping by a while or listening in. J Talks to the People Radio, or J Talks to the People broadcast as well. Show can be found on YouTube. There was a live radio broadcast that was airing just about half an hour ago. So the phone line is shut down for now, but the email is open 24/7, sending emails to jtalkstothepeople@yahoo.com. So getting on with the subject of thinking about it. In my everyday experience, I come across folks with problems, with situations, struggles, and hardships they're trying to get out of. And one of the tactics to get out of a real troubling situation, to try to find a solution towards, is that when you don't know something, you do what? You ask for information. You ask for help. You ask questions. Being a person coming of age into adulthood, accepting responsibility and taking accountability, you have to learn how to ask questions. Questions get the ball rolling. Questions demand for progress. Get things moving. Things that are needed to know that you didn't know before. Helpful tips, helpful advice. All shaped and start with questions. And as you heard on this broadcast and on this show, going on to Blog Talk, there's several episodes where there's a reference to an author named Neely Fuller Jr. And his constant concept is all problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. All problems are solved through the procedure, task, and process of questions and answers. And a question may come up if you lack knowledge, experience, skill, or technique. You can ask, well, how do you know what questions to ask? What to do when it's not known of what questions to ask? First thought that comes to mind if you really don't know what questions to ask, If you really don't know any questions or think of what would be the right questions to ask, then in that case, just ask one really big question. A question so big that it has so much detail in it so much bits, pieces, and parts in it. Such a huge, large question that the basis and foundation will be covered. If you don't know what questions to ask about what detail and what intricacy and what facet and what aspects of each and every situation, and you don't know what questions to ask so you can cover all bases, just think of the really big question, and it may lead to all the rest. When you have a car, a vehicle, there's probably several questions that a very experienced, learned, erudite person would ask about their vehicle. About the engine, about the tires, about the suspension, about the condition, about its history, the inspection. But say a person, take an individual who can't think of all that. What is the main big question that they would have to ask to try to hit everything on their head or get everything started in the right path? How does this car run? Does it run good? Is it in acceptable, appropriate working condition? Is it good top quality? Asking questions to solve your problems. Not just statements about how you feel. Not just statements about what you think is. Also in my experience, I noticed about people's seem to have a strange way of reasoning when assessing other people's or person's behavior. They attempt to make a prejudgment without knowing a person and saying a person must be antisocial because, as it appears to our group or as to our eyes, this person or persons are not very interactive with the other individuals in their environment. Now, I don't know the person, I don't interact with the person, I don't start any conversations or make any effort with the person. So I can therefore conclude that the person is reticent, the person is an introvert, the person is antisocial, as they call it. How do you rule out that the person just may not associate with those that are in his or her environment? Have you even tried communicating with the person first before you make your assessment? You make your assessment and then you communicate with the person and you get what? A reciprocal dialogue. Is it a good idea to minus your assumptions and just come with logical, sound fact? So please, before you determine somebody may be what they call antisocial, experiment with the person yourself and see what result you get. This so-called antisocial person may be the best chit-chatter, listener, social butterfly in the world. The difference is you haven't known them or met them yet. Judging from afar instead of being familiar. And this also thing I'm going to touch on in the Think About It series in the episodes to come. Everything you learn, especially going into or starting parenthood, everything that you learn, your mistakes that you made, the lessons that you learn, it's multifold. When you make a mistake in learning a lesson, that's not just for you to learn. You're not just learning this lesson or learning from this mistake for yourself. It's your slip and falls, it's your stumbles that give you the exposure in guiding another individual to avoid that similar misfortune. By depicting and portraying or describing your experience, your been there, done that, helps guide and mentor those coming up behind you. Again, everything that you're learning, everything that you're thinking about, everything that person or individual or your offspring is coming up thinking about, you've already thought about. Those thoughts to those words and to those physical steps. Thank you for listening and paying attention. This has been the host, Jay. And it's been live.
That's what it is. That's your money. And you need to know how it works so that you can work it for you, because the bank is going to work it for them. It's their job. They have people on it 24 hours a day.
Racism
doesn't exist and never existed. Let's take a listen.
Our issue is not about racism. There's no such thing as racism.
Higher entity. Now, he's not going to go over it because he's working for most of them. See, the thing about it is, when you get into a certain position of authority, you get to meet these people. You can tell us.
You're listening to J Talk to the People Radio.
This has been another edition of J Talk to the People Radio, and we're telling you to live life.